Alright, so I heard from a few Browns fans wanting to know if I was going to do a Believeland video, and did I watch the documentary, the 30 for 30, last night? Yes, I did. And I'm going to just rip through the recap here. Look, if Marty Schottenheimer's fighting back tears and Ernest Byner's in tears, I cannot risk that happen to FZappa20 here on YouTube. It's kind of brief, give you the rundown. It started out, obviously, with Jim Brown and the championships in 1964, and even a little bit before that with the city of Cleveland in the 50s. Fast forward all the way till now, and LeBron and the championship loss last year to the Warriors, and now the Cavs finals run again this year, hopefully anyhow. So now, but in between, oh my God, a lot of the heartache. Now, luckily, I've escaped some of the heartache as a Reds fan. I'm not from Northeast Ohio. I'm from Southwest Ohio. But somehow, some way, whatever twist of fate, I ended up a Browns and Cavs guy. No basketball team down here, so that's the Cavs. But it was just a Browns household, so that's how the Browns got with me. No way on the Bengals. But I am a Reds fan, so I got that championship at least. And Buckeyes. So anyhow, it goes on to the drive and the fumble and the World Series with the Indians in 97. Oh man, I forgot how rough that 97 World Series was too, actually. Not that that compares to the Browns almost making it to the Super Bowl. The 2 games against Denver hit on them heavily. Ernest Byner was heavily involved. Definitely flipped on him. He went from public enemy number 2 probably behind Art Modell to instantly forgiven. Guess I just never tried to put myself in the shoes of Ernest Byner and imagine how he must have felt. I mean, if the fans felt like they had just had their heart ripped out. I mean, he actually played for the team. He loved his teammates. He loved that city just like we all did, so... Unbelievable part with Ernest Byner involved. Love hearing that. Marty Schottenheimer, though. Oh, Marty Ball, though, still, as he's fighting off tears, he's like, but look, you got to protect the football. It's part of the game. Everybody knows that. I felt horrible for Ernest here. Almost 30 years later, I still feel horrible for Ernest. But damn it, you got to protect the football. It's like, wow. It was nice to see Marty emotional, still all these years caring about his Browns. And then it fast forwards to when the Browns leave and just all the chaos there and Modell. And, they tried to do a good job of, letting you know, hey, this is it. This is both sides of the deal. They talked to David Modell in there. He probably would have been better off just keeping his mouth shut. He did a pretty good job of keeping it real until he said, well, basically the Browns just were on pause. They never lost their team. We left, and then a couple of months later they got a new team. Well, no. They signed a contract to get a new team. It was an expansion team, all right? It wasn't a Bill Belichick coached team with a playoff caliber roster, all right? So don't act like the Browns never lost their team. What pound of flesh is owed, David Modell says. Suck it, David Modell. And I'm not going to say anything too harsh about Art Modell, 6 feet under in the grave, or maybe they burned him, I don't know. So they leave, they get the expansion team, and shortly after that, this kid's coming up in Akron. A 16-year-old kid slapped on the cover of Sports Illustrated. There's a guy in here referring to him as Moses, and that is sort of how it was for LeBron around here. Maybe a year or so after LeBron left, it started to sink in to me, yeah, maybe now I understand why he left. Look how horrible that team is. Look how horrible they were all the years with him, but yet everybody expected him and him alone. It's like, be Michael Jordan, bring a championship here. Well, those Cleveland teams were nothing like those Chicago teams or Kobe's Laker teams or whatever. They talked about Dan Gilbert's letter, and I, for one, was happy Dan Gilbert read that letter. Look, as a multi-millionaire businessman, I'm sure it's not one of his proudest moments. But as a Cavs fan and as a fan of Cleveland sports, I'm glad Dan Gilbert wrote that letter. I think it was needed that night. He spoke for a lot of people, said a lot of things that people were just like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, fuck him. Yeah. And I didn't get into burning jerseys or pissing on hats or any of that nonsense. Luckily, I can say it. I don't know if the YouTube channel was rocking back then. I very well might have. I did have a t-shirt with 23 and James on the back. I might have lit that sucker up. But I was way more pumped up with the return letter that LeBron wrote. I was a YouTube guy at that point. So, and that is pretty much where we're at. And look at that. Hell yeah, I got through the video. I didn't talk too much about the Ernest Byner part. But Ernest Byner forgiven. Craig Elo forgiven. Art Modell and his family never forgiven. Never forget. And, I did talk. It hit on a bright moment or two. The great days in the 50s, right after the war. And then leading into the 60s with the championships and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. Arsenio Hall had a funny line or two in there about Jordan when he hit that shot that he really have to jump up in the air and spread his legs. That famous picture of Elo in some weird, horribly out of defensive position. That's Jordan's like 80 inches in the air getting ready to drain that sucker. Yep, we got the letters from LeBron and Gilbert. All right, that pretty much wraps it up. It was a good deal. Watch it, I'd say. If you're not a Browns fan or if you're not a Cleveland fan, it doesn't matter. You've probably seen them 30 for 30s. They're pretty much always good, and so was this one. Season 3, Episode 9, Believeland. Boom. F Zappa 20. Thanks for watching.